Alright, so we're doing a quick deck tech before we get rolling on this quick hits. This is Tameshi Combo by Screenwriter New York on MTGO. I like this build because the backup plan is smaller than your standard thoroughfare, or standard 4-color pile, but still fits a nice 4-color pile in amongst a relatively clean Tameshi Combo. Now, for those of you who aren't aware what Tameshi Combo is Tameshi Reality Architect, 2 and a blue, has when one or more non-creature permanents are returned to hand, draw a card. This ability triggers only once, and then has an ability with X and a white, return a land you control to its owner's hand, return artifact or enchantment with mana value X or less from the graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. The best way to abuse this is the card Lotus Bloom, which is right here. This is a suspend 3 for Black Lotus, effectively. You use this in conjunction with Tameshi. You net 2 mana each trigger. 3 if your land happens to be untapped. Basically, you return all your lands to your hand, continuing to return Lotus Bloom, sacking it, Lotus Bloom, sacking it, get a bunch of mana. Ideally, from there, you cast a Cultivator Colossus, replaying all your lands out, drawing a bunch of cards, and then from there, hoping to find some way to win the game, whether it be Finale of Devastation, X equals 10, whether it be another Cultivator Colossus to keep the chain going, getting to the point where you find your Finale of Devastation or some other way to win the game, and just destroying your opponent from there. The backup plan for this version is the One Ring along with Nissa, Omnath, and Solitude. A mini 4-color Omnath pile while you're at it. And a little bit of protection for the combo. You have things like Spell Pierce and Teferi to help protect the combo. And then a little bit of interaction in the form of Leyline Binding and On Thin Ice. Goblin Engineer is a Eldamari's Call or tutorable target to be able to put a Lotus Bloom in the graveyard. And then Eldamari's Call and Wargate are tutors to get your missing pieces. Eldamari's Call usually used to find your Tameshi. Wargate usually used to find your Lotus Bloom, as it's just 2 mana inefficient otherwise. Delighted Halfling to be able to cast most of your relevant spells on counterably, as well as having a little bit of acceleration along with one of Utopia Sprawl. That's pretty much what the deck will be playing as. The sideboard, a little bit of Hate, Peace, Hate, a couple copies of Beseju as ways to fight through things. Prismatic Ending and additional copies of Leyline Binding as a way to fight through hate cards. Burrington Forge Tender as a way to protect against Furies and Unholy Heats and Bolts. Chalice of the Void, primarily here for your combo mirror matches against the Cascade decks. And I guess you could technically bring it in on X equals 1, but it does get a little bit awkward in the face of your Lotus Blooms being countered, but you do have other ways to get it out of the deck. Veil of Summer, ways to fight through counter spells, fight through Griefs, Thought Seizes, and Fatal Pushes. And a 1 of Endurance as a way, just another one of your 4-color good stuff pile, as well as Graveyard Hate in certain matchups. That is Tameshi Combo. Let's get into some gameplay and see how the deck plays. Alright, back with the match for quick hits with Tameshi Combo. While the deck has largely disappeared from the meta, I do kind of really like this build, so we'd figure we'd give it a try. This hand with the opener has both Tameshi and the Bloom, so we really just need to draw the payoff or a way to find the payoff. Opponent goes turn 1 Thoughtseize, takes Lotus Bloom and passes. We immediately exploit the Thoughtseize bug and draw on their Lotus Bloom. Those of you who don't know, that's a running gag about there being a Thoughtseize bug, because a lot of times when people get Thoughtseized, the next card they draw is the very card that was Thoughtseized. I fetched the basic island here because I want to be able to have Spell Pierce in case they have like a follow-up like Inquisition or Thoughtseize, as we are likely up against John's Saga. Lotus Bloom is on suspend, we pay and cast. Opponent goes Dashing Monkey. Dashing through the lands, the stupid monkey man. Okay, opponent has a myriad of mana in play now, so they can play around Spell Pierce if they wanted to. We go ahead and play our land into play. Opponent decides to deploy Bowmasters, which will make things a little bit tricky. That hits us for 4. And if they had one more colored mana, they would have been able to cast a fairy here and make our life somewhat more difficult, because we would have had to pierce that. So our opponent, go ahead and play Tameshi, and then start the combo. Those of you that don't know the combo, Tameshi, get back Lotus Bloom, land, Tameshi, get back Lotus Bloom, land, play Cultivator Colossus, put all your lands back into play, draw a bunch of cards, continue with the Lotus Bloom loop. One downside is Tameshi only triggers once, but since we drew the Cultivator Colossus, you need to draw Cultivator Colossus, Wargate, or Eldamari's Call most of the time, or Finale of Devastation. And our opponent conceded when their Fatal Push got countered. So you need to have one white mana available when you start things with Tameshi, and kind of go from there. But that is a combo win with Tameshi. With sideboarding, I boarded out a couple copies of Teferi and the Spell Pierce, and brought in the 3 Veils of Summer because I feel that's just a better protection. Spell Pierce is a little bit more conditional, but this hand has Eldamari's Call, Wargate, and Tameshi, while also having the One Ring. One of the reasons I like this build that was worked on, and was one of the last versions of Tameshi to actually have a recent finish, is the fact that it kind of has this backdoor game plan of the One Ring plus Elemental nonsense. So you're kind of like this hybridization of dual game plans. Opponent Thoughtseize us, takes Tameshi. We just play our tap line and pass. They go ahead and play Run and Ticks, get their land back. So we shock that in to Eldamari's Call at the end of turn. Our opponent goes Pithing Needle on Tameshi. They get that back. They deploy Nihil Spellbomb. So at this point, it's pretty clear that we're not going to find enough hate pieces to fight through both Pithing Needle and Spellbomb to do the combo. So when Eldamari's Call here, the choices we have, obviously Tameshi, Omnath, Nissa. We already have a Cultivator Colossus in our hands, so we're not really necessary to call for that. I really think the call comes down to Nissa or Omnath, kind of pivoting the One Ring plan. I think Nissa kind of goes with what we're doing a little bit better, so I choose Nissa. Just because we need to bridge that gap to get to turn. Or I go ahead and deploy Lotus Bloom. That way, if our opponent has like some type of way to remove Nissa, it just doesn't immediately die. So I go with Nissa here, play the land, trigger, fetch, trigger. Our opponent had a Fatal Push here or something, we would have got a little bit, but they didn't. We deploy the One Ring and pass. They don't have a Orcish Bowmaster either, so it looks like they were very much all in on stopping the combo. Weren't particularly well prepared to deal with a backup fair game plan. They ping and use Unholy Heat to kill our thing. We do this. Can't really cast Omnath and get the trigger here, so I could have if I would have used Delayed Halfling, which I don't think I realized until post-combat here that I didn't have the correct mana coloration. So I just Wargate from their Lotus Bloom and pass. Our opponent Inquisitions us. Could have taken Finale, sees our hand of Omnath plus another copy of the One Ring, and just decides, screw that, I'm out of here. And this is why I kind of like this version. One of the things Tameshi kind of struggled with was a reasonable backup game plan, and I do think this game plan of tying in a little bit of the 4-color Omnath pile with this like inherent combo engine. It's really nice. It's kind of like a variant of Rono Combo that I saw in Pioneer that was able to use like a Luca and a Traxa backup game plan. I think the people that craft and really work on these decks over a long period of time, it's really a testament to the, you know, either them or an ensemble of people working on the deck coming up with these backup plans for decks to be reasonable. So I want to play a little bit of Tameshi Combo for you guys and show you both the combo and the fair game plans. And then I will make sure to mention the creator of this particular deck when I'm doing the deck tech and the short explanation for it. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like modern content, and hope to see you for our next video.